What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to TYT. I appreciate it. I am leaving, but quickly, I just wanted to make a comment on Kanye because some of you didn't catch TYT today, and Kanye said that slavery for the last 400 years of slavery was a choice. So I just wanted to quickly address that and then move on with my day, because why do we have conversations about what Kanye's assessments about slavery are? But I will just say this. As people of color, we really have to stop, or not stop, but we have to review leadership, self-appointed leadership by other people of color simply because that they are famous. For some reason, that's something that's popular with people of color. It doesn't happen with white people. Taylor Swift making a political statement, she's not the leader of white people, but for some reason Kanye making these statements makes him. We have to rebuke that stuff. Kanye is disconnected from reality and most people's reality. Most people go to work every day, have to think about how they're going to feed their kids and having health care. Most people are not living in these big homes, driving these $100,000 cars, and most people are not walking around with dogs that are designer dogs and $5,000 handbags. That's just not the reality of the average person. So why do we need Kanye West speaking up, Kanye West being the voice for the people? He's not my leader, and I know he's not your leader too, because you think on a higher frequency. So we just need to rebuke that stuff. We need to turn it off. Obviously, Kanye is trying to sell albums, not realizing the effects of the words and the consequences of the things that he is saying and how they affect the collective of all people of color, especially being from Chicago. No, our ancestors did not volunteer. That is part of the false narrative that has been fed into internalizing self-hatred and racism within internal racism. We talked about that on the show. So I rebuke anybody who speaks that we volunteered for slavery. And when I say we, I'm talking to the diaspora slaves, all of us, from Puerto Rico to Colombia to Jamaica to the Bahamas. What's your poison? You pick it. You don't get to not be a descendant of slaves because you've chosen an identity that is not yours for real.
Hey, call all y'all Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rakakadash, the Bonasi Apostle. That was a great millstone. Peace and salutations and honor to you, sincere Akim out there pushing the truth across the four corners of the earth. Something interesting that she said, of course, we all know at this point, May the 3rd, 2018, Kanye West is doing his best to stay in the media light and build his buzz up. Made the statement, which I'm sure you probably have heard it. Slavery was a choice. He's coming up with "Make America Great Again" hats and basically they got him behind the scenes. They got in his ear, so now he's following after his program. Because we've known for the longest that Kanye West sold out. He sold out a long time ago. And basically what he's doing, he's trying to stay in the spotlight. So he's saying a lot of clown shit and build a buzz up, because I think his album comes out next month, something like that. And that's what people are doing in this day and age. They just say a lot of clown shit or a lot of shit based off their emotions, which sometimes in the moment it can seem like something, if you don't know anything. But when you go back and you replay it again and you listen to what the point that's being made, it's not going to add up. And Kanye West, his statements are not adding up. And the minute of the Lord, I've seen at least 50 videos on it. But she said something interesting. That's why I highlighted this particular video. She said first she said people of color, which that's a new buzzword. which a lot of Hispanic people are putting themselves under too because they're being persecuted heavily. But also she said people of the diaspora, Puerto Rican people, black people. Then she said Bahamas, Argentina. Basically, she's talking about the tribes of Israel, the people of the diaspora. Now, the word diaspora is from the Greek, dia across, spirin, scatter. And this particular definition is talking. They kind of talk about the dispersion of the Jews behind Israel. Yeah, because one of the things that gave you a clue to who the Edomites were is the diaspora. Matter of fact, let's start off with that. It's in Deuteronomy 28, but it's also in Leviticus. Leviticus 26 and 33. And I will scatter you among the heathen, and will draw out a sword after you, and your land shall be desolate, and your cities wasted. And like he said, I will scatter you among the heathen. Verse 32 says what? And I will bring the land into desolation, and your enemies which dwell therein shall be astonished at it. And that's one of the ways you know who the Israelites were. And if you look at the different people on the sign, the 12 tribe sign, which is said to be incorrect, but one second. But if you look at those people on that sign, you got the Native American Indians. But we know, of course, the Trail of Tears. That was a diaspora from different parts of the U.S. over on. A lot of them are in Oklahoma today, which is Oklahoma is primarily Native American territory in the southwest region. And then, of course, they went northwest too, up the Oregon Trail. Then you got the Issacharites, who are also in this region. After the Louisiana Purchase, Esau stole their land too, because they were up here with the Gadites as well. And you got the Seminole Indians too, which, you know, a lot of them stayed, but then you had some of them who fled as well too. And you had a lot of Gadites who would flee into Mexico. And then, like I was saying, the Issacharites, which they're considered illegal aliens, this was all their land. Their empire stretched from down there near Central America all the way up to damn near Canada. And they were pushed down. And then the Gadites were pushed out. The Seminole Indians, a lot of them fled, and they were pushed out. And then the people of the Taino Indians, right? A lot of them battled Esau in the Caribbean Sea, and a lot of them fled island to island, or maybe they fled down to South America, or maybe they fled down to Central America. Then you got a lot of people in South America. When the Spanish and the Portuguese and the French began to come to South America, a lot of them fled into the mountains, from Brazil over into the mountain ranges or whatever. Right? Then, of course, we were in Israel. The thing that happened for them to even get over here is they were captured by the Assyrians, and then eventually they sailed down and came through and came over to these lands. That's where the so-called northern kingdoms, all these people of South America, Central America, the Native Americans, all of these people are Israelites, and they come from Israel too. And then us, the so-called southern tribes, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, we were in 70 AD, we were kicked out of Israel by the Romans. Many of us went down into West Africa. Many of us went up into Turkey and into Europe. And then you had some of us even go east into China and the lands beyond. So these people, and then, man, it's so much, it's so many Israelites across the four corners of earth. Let me continue with that. Isaiah 11 And 10, and in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which this is talking about future prophecy, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. His rest is the Gentiles, the Israelite foreigners. The rest is going to be glorious because they're coming back to their nationality. And it shall come to pass that day that the Lord shall set his hand against the second time. He shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the lands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of earth. And not just Judah either. It's gonna be, you're gonna have Israelites from all across the earth. And then of course in Acts chapter 2, when it's going to talk, it goes into how the men of the Lord was filled with the Holy Spirit, and they received those cloven tongues. What is it, verse 8, and how we every man in our own tongue wherein we were born, Parthians and Medes and Elamites and the dwellers in Mesopotamia and in Judea and in Cappadocia and Pontus and Asia, Phrygia and Pamphylia, Egypt, and in the parts of Libya, about Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes, Cretes and Arabians, we do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of the Most High. And all these people, they were called these different nations, but they were Israelites. They were people who were Israelites who were spread to these different nations. Because what's gonna happen? What else is gonna happen in prophecy? Joel 3:2, and I will gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yahweh-Shaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Once again, my people, my tribe, the people of the Lord's flesh, the people of the same bloodline. And that's how you know who the Israelites are, man. We were scattered. These people, these Edomites who claim that they're Jews, the fake Jews. First off, they called themselves Ashkenazi Jews. Ashkenazi was a son of Japheth. Jew, short for Judah, which is one of the sons of Jacob. So it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. And these people these Edomites who are in the Caucasus Mountains, is that the correct? No, this is the Caucasus Mountains over here, Salakia. These people, basically, they were there for the longest. They were there for a long time, and then from them, they weren't dispersed like that. These Edomites weren't dispersed all over the world like that, because you had them there in the Caucasus Mountains. Well, first they were over here in Idumea, then they were kind of in the Caucasus Mountains area, and then they went over to Greece and Rome and these different places. They wandered over there. And then you had a few of them wander up here, and a few of them wander this way too. But that was all after us. They weren't dispersed. You're not going to see, because of the current system that we're in, you might see Edomites, but when the scripture's talking about the dispersed, it's not talking about them. I just say to make it simple. It's not talking about them. It's talking about Israelites. And the way you know you're Israelite is from the Spirit. So it's very spiritual that she would say that. The people of the that she said diaspora, however you want to say it, is diaspora. But That's a spiritual thing. And Israel's waking up. Our people are waking up. They're seeing the different racist practices of these Edomites. Yeah, because when you're in power, you do what you can to stay in power. These Edomites are doing everything that they can to stay in power, and our people are trying to slip through the cracks. The Israelites, we're trying to slip through the cracks. We're trying to find every loophole, every exploit for us to get on top. But it's not going to work because they're in their power seat. They're going to do everything they can to keep us on the bottom, to keep themselves rich and happy. And that's just what it is. So, man, I hope that was edifying. Call hello, Yabashim Shai. Lord willing, I have more for you. Shalom.